Green light, we're going. Hey, what is up, guys? I'm doing a tour, a wonderful tour, with this amazing girl right here.
Hi, hello.
She's amazing. Sydney, I'm not even gonna, I know, right? You wanna come all the way down, or you can stand up there?
All the way
I don't
down.
care, you can do whatever you'd like. Well, we're gonna start on the outside anyways.
I'll go like this.
She's taller than me, yeah. She is definitely freaking taller than me. Thanks a lot for pointing it out.
Everybody already notices again.
I'm up on a hill right now, and she's still taller than me. I'm sure.
They don't have to know.
Too late. We're gonna go check out her van. She's got 2 really cool dogs.
They're the best.
Pearl.
Pearls.
And Ella's inside. I don't know if we can see her. Ella's
She's
up
like
in
peeking
there.
out.
She is. She's the love of my life. Ella.
Same.
Sorry, I want to kind of steal her. But we're gonna check out her whole kit and caboodle. Let's get this guy off. Let's get her on.
Hi.
How are ya, Sydney?
Okay, I haven't done this in a while. I'm out of practice. I'll let you stay right there, my girl. You stay. Sit.
Well, actually, you know, before you even show me this cool table,
Okay.
what kind of van do you have?
I have a 2017 Ford Transit with a 148-inch wheelbase, so it's like the shorter version of it's the equivalent to a 144-inch Sprinter. It had 65,000 miles when I got it. It now has 115,000 miles.
You've done some traveling, girl.
I've done some traveling, and it has a high roof, so they have the low, mid, and high just like Sprinters, and I have the high version.
Obviously, we've already gone over that you're tall, so you fit in there quite nicely.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, somebody who's about 6'5" can stand there with their head like maybe a little bit touching, but you could comfortably fit up to about 6'5".
It's really impressive. I actually really like the height, the interior height of these.
Yeah, I do as well. It really, like, as it might sound strange because it is obviously a small space, but it opens the space up a lot, being able to kind of just move around and not feel like
it does. Your van seems a lot
there.
bigger than others.
Yeah,
yeah,
that is the goal, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that is the goal. So what's going on with this table out here?
Okay, yeah. So I really just want to utilize every inch of the space because it is small. So I wanted to do something on the back of the fridge, which is what this is housing. I'll show you that in a minute. You camp at like fire rings a lot, or you're in a van circle with friends and stuff like that. And so I didn't know if I'd use it that often, but I really do use it all the time just to set my coffee down in the morning when I'm talking to friends and we're parked together and whatever. So this is just kind of handy to have, and it always ends up being a table that people just set their stuff on when we're parked together.
I like this, and they framed it out here and then built in instead of like cutting it in. I really like that. It's a good detail work.
Thank you. I do that part, but I came up with the idea.
No, that actually, we'll step in and I'll kind of ask you about that if that's okay.
We'll talk about that in a second. And then below that is just the vent for the fridge, because that
Which
is also
is
important.
essential.
Yes, that is essential. The dog bowl, Ella might be blocking your
That's
way.
okay. And I could literally stare at her all day.
This is like my little getting ready area.
That's awesome.
It is.
I don't know if I've
nice.
seen a vanity.
I feel like it's a bit dramatic, but there was nothing to do with this plain wall, and so I was like, well, I mean, eventually, I know I spend a lot of time by myself, but I'm gonna need to like look decent sometimes, you know? Yeah. And so that does get used, and it is nice to have as an option for days where I do actually get ready. And then next to the vanity is my personal favorite feature. That's the pocket door. So this basically locks on this side at night. Just a big deal for me because I travel solo so much. It just kind of adds an element of safety that I didn't feel in my previous van. I did live in a van before this one. That was a Sprinter. Hint, hint, this time I got a Ford Transit. Okay, Sprinter's gorgeous, but it was too much anxiety for me. Like, I have PTSD from that. But yes, being able to lock this just kind of allows me to at least think that if someone broke into the front, I have a few seconds to buy my time and figure out a plan, call 911, or do whatever I need to do. Some people argue that they could break in the sliding door, of course, or whatever, but at least it allows me to sleep better at night, which is important.
Absolutely, yeah, because you do travel alone.
Yes, I do. I travel. Just me.
Just you and the dogs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're a pack, we're a team.
I'm queuing you up now because you have a podcast, which is called...
Oh, yeah, so my podcast is called My Solo Road. Basically, it's where I just kind of sit down and talk different topics. I have episodes on like van life with dogs, solo female van life and safety, but a lot of them are also like interviews with my friends who are also solo women on the road, or family, or Jarrod this week.
Yeah, I am going to be on this week. Thank you.
It's very real and honest, probably over details that like TMI that no one really needs to know, but I think it's important because
it's super good.
Yeah, I mean, the van might be pretty, but it's for sure not a glamorous life. So.
And you were like cleaning up, and you were like, you know what? I'm not even going to do this anymore.
Yeah, I was going to do my
dishes,
but the reality is that I always have dishes in my sink. Like I do all of them, and then for the next 3 days I don't do them, and so I just inevitably have dishes.
Sydney,
so why would I do it?
This is why I love you, Sydney. This is awesome.
Thank you. I love you. Then we get to the induction stove, which is also not a story, but a thing. I got the induction stove. I love it. I have two 95 amp hour batteries, an inverter, and 400 watts of solar. And that is enough to power this induction stove. That being said, I went a 2-week period without my van because I got into a car accident. It was in the shop, and so I needed a way to cook in like a hotel room or an Airbnb, or like I was kind of bouncing around. And I ended up buying a $25 butane stove at Walmart. It just ended up being a far better option even once I got back into the van because it doesn't pull an ounce of power, obviously.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, do I want to pull even a little bit of power, which this pulls a good amount, or would I rather cook and not pull any power and like I know for a fact I'll wake up in the morning and still have plenty of power for the lights and stuff. I just don't end up using the induction as much, although I do like it, and if you have a big battery bank and solar and stuff, I mean, it's a good option. This gets used every day, and I don't know if I've ever cleaned the actual cutting board, like, because I always end up just like doing it quickly and then it gets closed.
And then you're just closing it. Does that open up? Does that pop open?
Yeah, so I have some dishes under there as well.
Oh, that's
like,
cool. No, I was just curious if it did. It looks really cool.
Thank you.
And you came up with this whole design?
I did, which I do feel like sometimes, especially on YouTube, love you all, but like it's really, you either DIY'd it or you did nothing and you're lazy and like you just bought this really expensive van. But there really is quite a spectrum depending on how you approach the situation, and I found family friends that were able to help me, and I went to Home Depot, I bought all of the materials, I chose every detail and every piece of the design, and then I was kind of able to use their very talented hands to put it together in a better looking way than what I would be able to do.
Very nice.
It was a team effort.
A team effort.
I also,
like that.
It was a team that like I would not have been able to do this without them, and I do not deny that at all. Just
awesome.
we'll touch on that now, just while we're on the topic already. They were family friends, they still are friends, but unfortunately there's just been some behind the scenes things happen that I don't necessarily recommend them, which is why I'm not going to state their name in this video. But there's no denying that I'm very grateful for my van. They built a fantastic home for me, and I'm very grateful for that. That being said, I don't feel comfortable recommending them to people.
You are not the only van lifer that has happened to, trust me.
Okay, it's like one of the things where it's like I'm guilty for saying that, but like I would feel way more guilty if I did it. You know? So
right on.
Kind of choose your battles. Below my induction stove and the cutting board is my full electrical system. I'll kind of step to the side. Ella's really just taking up a good amount of space here.
I love her. She can do whatever she wants.
So yeah, those are my two batteries. The isolators on the left, inverter on the right. Aside from that, this is all kind of typical kitchen storage: silverware, bowls, pots.
Can I just say I love your mason jars up top?
Thank you. Yes, so that's kind of where I keep my dry food. These do not fall. I do get asked that frequently.
That was my next question.
Rightfully so. I understand why people ask that, but this is something I had in my first van and I really liked it. Wanted to add this as well, and it's kind of an element of home. Like, I grew up just with mason jars. Like, that's what my grandmother uses, it's what my mom uses, and so it kind of is just a comforting thing, honestly. I mean, perfect for not wanting to constantly be wasting plastic and buy stuff in bulk. It's cute and I like it. This lip is a little deceiving. It's bigger than it looks, and so things can't really move that much. Same with this. Actually, this is tin roof from the barn where the van was built as well.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, I liked adding a few pieces from home. This is like a really small little local tile shop right by my house in Indiana, and so I wanted to go there obviously and get my tiles, and I love that as well. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. You want to switch sides?
I would love to switch sides.
We're vice versa now.
We have switched, so this is the fridge I mentioned earlier. This is a 110 volt fridge. Although my van, people always say like, why save money for this, but have a nicer build. Although I very much value my build, I just cannot talk myself into spending over $1,000 on a fridge. It just doesn't even make sense to me. It doesn't compute. It was also something that I bought towards the end of the build, so that also means I was like 3 budgets past my budget. And so I just didn't want to swing $1,000 for a fridge. And so this works really well. I know a lot of people who have had difficulties with a 110 volt fridge. I don't know exactly what the differences are in their build versus mine, but I've had wonderful luck with it, and I enjoy having a separate freezer and a fridge section.
So pretty much your inverter has to stay on all the time because of this fridge.
It does, but I also I go to a lot of places that are really cold. Like I was in the Alabama hills and it was freezing, and so I'll turn the inverter off. Go to my parents' house for a weekend, I turn it off just to kind of give it a break, but generally speaking, yeah, it's on. Next to the fridge is my used to be wine storage. It's one of those things, I think everyone who lives in a van has something that, like, in theory it sounded like a good idea, but once you're in a van, like, I needed that storage for other things, and the squares themselves are smaller than most wine bottles, so now it's just like cords and random things that I need to put places.
It was like a happy accident.
It was a happy accident. I mean, storage is storage, so trust me, I'll take any amount of storage I can get. But it was initially, like, they're angled specifically for wine bottles and stuff, but, like, now in retrospect, I'm like, that's so stupid. Why would I have? Who has storage for just wine? Like, I love wine, but not that much.
I can tell. You have the wine bottle right there.
Yeah, that's... I like to drink during my podcasts.
Yeah, okay.
That's okay.
Oh, that's going to be good to know, because I'll be doing that later with you. You are sitting on your bed right now, but your bed also doubles. Yes,
it's the dinette conversion, I believe, is what the internet likes to call it.
Is that what it's called? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's what I've seen online, at least. The dinette conversion.
Before we started recording, you were like, I was like, oh, are you going to put that up into your dinette, I guess? And you were like, nope. No,
yes, because first of all, I believe that most people watching this, if you're into like van build videos or anything like that, you've likely seen 100 people put up a lagoon mount and like create a table and benches and stuff.
Is that what it's on, a lagoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like basically there's a table in between my benches and the table comes up, I put the lagoon mount there, and then I have the 2 benches and a table to sit up and work at. But what really happens is that I have my shoes on my bed because I have dogs, which means I don't care. And if Ella wasn't sitting directly behind me, but like I work in my van rarely to begin with. I like kind of working in libraries and stuff like that, but if I'm going to work in my van, I just sit up against my wall and work here.
Yeah.
And that's why, if I can give advice to anyone, I would say there's very few people I've met in person who actually use their dinette conversion, even if they say they might on social media or YouTube. In person, I've had a lot of people be like, oh yeah, I never use that.
True story.
I think it's worth having a fixed bed where you can access all the storage underneath, but I do think if you do a fixed bed, I personally like having it lower so that when I sit up against my wall, my head's not touching upper cabinets, because I also have friends that do a fixed bed, which I love, but then they put it so high and they can't sit up against anything because they also have upper cabinets.
I did that with my first van.
Yeah.
So, but would you recommend maybe a higher bed to maybe fit bikes but no upper cabinets?
Yeah, I guess so. But then I also, like, I love having the upper cabinets because that's where I keep everything that I get out every day. Like, all of the, like my shampoo, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, all of just my, like, the clothes that I wear the most often, just everything that I need. But yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's necessary. But what you value the most, I don't have a bike. So maybe if I was obsessed with mountain biking, that would be more important to me. But that's why.
You're obsessed with dogs.
I am obsessed with dogs.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of them.
You love them.
I know. If I had a bigger van, I would have 1 million dogs.
Wow, that's a lot of dogs.
It is.
Maybe a bus.
And the Transit is several inches, I want to say 4 inches, but that might be slightly off, wider than the Sprinter. And so the Sprinter I was able to fix, or put a queen size, I believe, widthwise.
Okay.
And then in the Transit, though, I bought a queen-sized memory foam mattress, and it was actually not wide enough. So I had to go out and buy more mattress, so it's not quite a king, but it's bigger than a queen.
Gotcha.
So we're somewhere in the middle, which is plenty of space.
So you sleep in the Transit right now, and what we're in right now, you sleep front to back.
I sleep with my head right here and my feet there.
Gotcha.
There's something weird about my head being right by the windows.
Okay.
That it's like a mental thing. To just like turn at all, like any way I want. Like there are nights where I just sleep diagonally, or I sleep this way, or I just sleep any way I want with a like big X, because I can do that.
Our friend Megan, because we are both friends with her, our friend Megan used the term starfish. And I've been like saying that so much.
Yes, that's a fantastic phrase. Yeah,
it is.
I starfish myself because I can.
Shout out to Megan.
Yeah, I love a good Megan cable. I mean, that's pretty much everything inside. I also do want to shout out my back window covers.
Yeah.
Because so it's made from a company called Van Made Gear. I did not have back window covers I've been in here for 1.5 years. I probably should have said that sooner. Hi, my girl, hi.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I got on the road in August or September of the year before 2018, I guess. But I was hanging a blanket in front of the windows for
that's right.
the first over a year of me living in this van, and it did the job, and it was free. Like, it was just one of these blankets that I already had. I feel so luxury. Like, this was the first update I did since buying my van, and so it was kind of nice to like have a new thing.
And you love the covers now. You love having the covers.
Them. Yeah, that one's like a little off, but yeah, I love them. They're black, so they're like from the outside, it's just solid black, and they're insulated, so when it's freezing cold, it helps not be freezing cold inside.
I'm a big advocate of window covers like that. Obviously I have them too.
The hard part about them is that they're expensive for what you're buying, and so it's like a lot of them can be $400, and when I can hang a blanket up it's like, it's just more attractive for me to do that than
And what? Say the name again. Say the company name.
Van Made Gear.
Van Made Gear. Awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, it's literally made by a guy who lives in a van. So
no way.
I always like shouting out my.
And you also have a very like farmhousey barn feel in your van with the reclaimed wood behind you and both sides of the van actually. And then like the tin we got behind us over here.
Yeah,
that was all
I
you.
really like that look. It's very difficult when you have an empty cargo van to imagine all of these random ideas that you have and like how is that going to come together? Is it going to look good? Is it not going to look good? And you really don't know until it does come together.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I was like, I want my ceiling to look like the sky, and I'm going to paint it blue. And now it's like, obviously there's no association with the ceiling being like the sky, but it's blue, and I just like the fact that it's such a nice color.
The blue, teal, whatever you want to call it, matches so well with the barnwood.
Thank you, yeah.
It's very...
That's one of those things, though, that you don't know until you're looking at it and you're like, okay, thank God that looks nice.
It is so, and I don't know if this term's ever been used, well, I'm sure it's been used, but aesthetically pleasing to the mind.
Oh.
Like, it's just it's so soothing.
The last thing I'll add kind of on that note is that I really enjoyed the idea of having separate rooms in a van. And so I wanted it to be like a kitchen feeling and it to feel separate in the bedroom. And so that's kind of why I did these like little partitions, just to... Looking at it, like, it kind of tricks your mind into thinking that you have separate spaces within the same small space, and I liked that idea. And this is from GoVan. They sent me that blanket, so I feel like I should say who. And my best friend works for GoVan, and so, yeah.
I love GoVan.
If you want a nice little blanket, it's very nice and warm.
Your best friend, we'll give her a shout out, Katie.
Katie Larson. If you go to my Instagram, you'll certainly find hers because I talk about her all the time. I love her dearly.
We actually didn't even go over your Instagram, although I hope most people that are watching my videos know who you are. But your Instagram...
I mean, as much as I would hope that I understand that you might not, you probably don't. My Instagram is called Divine on the Road.
Divine on the Road. You have some really cool entrepreneur stuff coming up.
Yes, I do. I had an awakening yesterday.
It was amazing, though.
I had quite an awakening.
Did you want to say more about it, or you want to keep that a secret for now?
I'm going to keep it a secret on
YouTube.
All
right.
Until...
Well, how about this? We can just follow you to follow up.
Yes.
There you go. Follow the journey. You are an amazing entrepreneur, and you actually inspire me daily. So,
God.
We are gonna move to the back. Can we show them the back? Because this is actually one of my favorite features of your whole van.
I see what second.
This is some famous photos are done on the back here.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's nice this angle because you can see the entire van, and you can't really see that from.
And Ella just knows her spot.
Oh,
like,
she does.
Oh my God.
She knows that usually the tripod is set up right here, and like this is your go-to.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. She knows what's up.
Before you even do that, I know what you're about to do. You have bookcases back here.
I do. That's another example of like, I wanted the benches, so we built they did the benches, and then this is just empty, useless space. And so it's kind of like, what can we do to utilize this empty space back here? And I wanted bookcases, and then I wanted them to match the ceiling, so we painted them the same color. And I don't know what it looks like on camera, but there is so many freaking books in this thing. Like, it really
it looks
a lot
deep,
of
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Pearl made her way down here. That's awesome.
And because I recommend the fixed bed, as you can see, I have turned the middle of this into storage.
It's the storage underneath.
It's really just storage because
Pearl doing her thing.
Pearl, what are you doing? So then, last but not least, Jarrod's personal favorite.
It is, because it's like, it's an amazing design, and you even have pictures on this thing.
Yeah, and I like the fact that I can sit on it, which, let's be honest here, I don't actually sit on this very often, but... You
don't do your podcast on this? What are you talking about?
No, the wind would quite ruin that terribly.
But actually, it's a really cool picture that you do have with your mic and...
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things where you take a picture and you're like, is this good or is it terrible? And then it like did really well, and I was like, okay, well, I guess it was decent. The thing I actually use this table for the most, once I clean it from my dirty feet, it's a nice place to have when you're on BLM. There's often not picnic tables, and so I can sit here with my friends and we can actually have a table for dinner, because, yeah, they don't really have that kind of stuff in the middle of nowhere.
So what is that, 4 feet? 48 inches?
It's almost 6 feet, because...
Is it?
It's as long as the bed.
And they're heavy duty, obviously, because you just sat on it.
The side are like, they supposedly hold 500 pounds, but like, I wouldn't even sit on this end because I would just feel like I was risking it. So I wouldn't say 500 pounds, but I mean, it can at least hold my weight. It's also, I hate saying this on YouTube because I know someone's going to come for me, but it is nice to have my tripod on here, and then it gets like straight into the van instead of the tripod being all on the floor.
Someone's going to come for me.
I know, because you can't talk about stuff like Instagram. People don't want to get, but it's okay.
It's all right. My channel's real.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm doing it. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
I also like that my Holy Bible is just like right across from Helter Skelter.
Oh
like,
my!
Yeah.
Way to call yourself out. Good job.
I like calling myself out. Better me do it than someone, you know.
There it is. I like that.
The Queen in all of her glory.
Did you ever name your van?
Let me just shout it out one more time because Alexa's not here to make fun of me. So I've been talking nonstop about a TV show called Anne with an E.
Oh,
and
that's right.
Last night, Alexa, our friend, came up with the idea of calling it Van with an E. Isn't that funny? Like,
so V-A-N-E?
I don't know. It makes no sense, but it's funner to say. I didn't.
Van with an E.
More fun, but it doesn't have. It's never had a name. I'm not one to name my car. As cool or fun as that might be for some people, like I just never cared that much. I've never felt like an emotional connection to my van. If I would sell it tomorrow, if it just doesn't really. I don't care. Yeah, I just never named it. And then she said Van with an E, and I'm kind of down for it. Yeah, I'm into it.
Kind of end on this, but Ella is actually more famous than even me on Instagram. She has her own Instagram handle. Yeah,
she's Ella the Van Dog, which now I just got Pearl recently, so she doesn't have an Instagram, but she shows up on Ella's on a daily basis.
I bet.
So.
I bet. Yes. And Ella's she gets jealous sometimes.
Yeah, she does. Ella's
she sees So. That's what's going on. She sees the cat.
Oh yeah, she does. The shot of all the ladies.
Aww.
Oh, my families. Oh yeah.
Oh, the girls are so sweet.
One more like kind of shameless self-plug. I am very open about van life, and I really want people to know that it can be beautiful. And you know, I think like glamorizing it even gets a bad rap because like this is really a beautiful life that has, without going into too much detail, saved my mental health. Like I think it's just it's a very cool lifestyle, and I'm very proud of it. But at the same time, on my podcast and on Instagram, Pearl is like, "What are you?" I do keep it very real. Shh, Pearl, it's okay. It's okay. It's just a cat. It's just a cat. Pearl. Hey, don't hype up Ella. I know. Pearl, I was in the middle of a thing.
Good girl.
What was I saying? Okay, so, but no.
Oh, you're very real on your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast and Instagram and stuff, although it might be a pretty picture, I do try and keep it as real as possible because there's a lot of not glamorous moments that you have in a van, especially I think when you live in one alone.
Yeah.
Because like, you tell yourself a million times a day, well, like, no one's here, no one's watching me. Yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want. So yeah, anyways, the point is, podcasts and everything, if you want to know like nitty gritty details and you are genuinely interested in van life and you're a nice person who will be nice to me, please listen to the podcast and find out some information that you may or may not find.
And you have a website too, divineontheroad.com, right?
Thank you. What would I do without you? Yes, I do have a website. It's literally how I make enough money on the road. I'll get that. I talk about that on the podcast and the website, so there's more information on that there. But yes, I have
lots
a website
to come.
as well.
Lots to come coming up.
So much to come.
There's a lot. Like I know you have this new business that you want to get into. Yes. It might take a few months, but still you're going to do it. I'm really excited. I fully support it.
I'll be doing YouTube very soon.
Yeah, we are going to be doing YouTube.
Within the next couple of weeks, I will be doing YouTube as well.
And that's also Divine on the Road.
All of it. Divine on the Road everywhere. You can find my podcast even through Divine on the Road, so that's kind of the theme. If you want to find anything, it's Divine on the Road. That's the name of the game.
Sydney, I adore you. I think you're freaking awesome. You're another vantrepreneur, which I adore even more. You know,
I love the group of people that we get to connect with because of this.
Yes, and I wish you well as I think everybody else on here will. Safe travels, and you and I are going to we're pretty much hanging out all this week.
Yeah, and there's a gathering this weekend that we'll be going to. So.
Absolutely.
We're hanging out till then. Thank you for touring my van. Thank you for being here, Jarrod. Thanks for doing this with me. Love you.
Bye, Sydney.
Bye.
Bye, most Pearls. Bye, Pearls. And bye, Els. Okay.
I was like, I just want to be outside flying.
Later.
Okay, bye.